Hello friends, welcome back to the on-study physics class, and you are joining with me for electricity and electronics. In this lecture series, we are discussing unit number 3. In unit number 3, so far we have been discussed about what happens to the current carrying conductor when it is placed in a magnetic field. Hereafter, in the couple of coming lectures, we are going to deal with if we place a conducting coil without making current passing into that externally, when we place that into an magnetic field, what will happen? Let me repeat, we are going to bring a conducting coil. We are putting it in the vicinity of the magnetic field, but we are not externally applying current. In that situation, what happens to that current carrying wire? What are the things that is happen to be? And little bit mathematics and little bit physics, that is what we are going to discuss in the coming lectures. So, first thing, EMF, electromotive force, generated in a coil rotating in a uniform magnetic field. As title reads, what is the situation? We are going to place a coil in a uniform magnetic field, and this coil is made to rotate. What happens? Title says there would be some EMF, electromotive force will be generated. Now, we are going to calculate what is that, which means we are going to deduce a simple expression for EMF. So, what is the experimental situation? We have a magnetic field. We have a magnetic field. So that this is north pole and this is south pole, and we place a rectangular current carrying coil. Sorry, a rectangular coil. It is not carrying current. A rectangular coil that is placed. Rectangular coil that is placed within the magnetic field. Let us denote magnetic field as B. Okay, magnetic field or magnetic induction, that is said to be B. And now, this coil is placed in such a way that it could rotate about an axis. It could rotate about an axis in such a way that this axis of rotation lies perpendicular to the magnetic field or magnetic induction direction. Right? Got it? This conducting coil which is placed, and it is the arrangements are made in such a way that it could be able to rotate it about an axis which is perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. Right? Fine. Now assume a situation. So this is the experimental setup. So this is the experimental setup, that is what we are considering. Now assuming a situation where this rectangular coil that lies perpendicular to the field of the magnetic induction, which means if magnetic field lines are going in this direction, assume that this is the rectangular, assume that this book is the rectangular coil, right? It is rectangular coil and we are taking the outputs here. Okay, we are taking the outputs here. Now assume that that is this plane. The plane of the board is the direction of the magnetic field induction, which means from north pole to south pole the magnetic field lines are traverses, right? Plane is the plane of the board. Now we have to place this rectangular coil perpendicular to that, right? Perpendicular to that, so that if you make an angle between the direction of the magnetic field and the rectangular coil, it will be 90 degree. Okay, that is we are making it perpendicular. We are like this, right? Now in that case, you see, if this is placed like this and this is the direction the magnetic field lines are traverses, in another point is, now if you draw a perpendicular to the plane of the conducting coil. So this is the rectangular coil and it is for that the normal is, it is from this point to it's going this direction, right? If you draw a normal, that normal will be parallel with the direction of the magnetic induction, right? The normal of the current plane of the current carrying wire, the normal of the plane of the rectangular current carrying, sorry, it's not carrying current, plane of the wire is lies parallel to the direction of the magnetic field. This is the situation, right? In that situation, the theta is the angle between magnetic field lines B and normal of the rectangular coil. Okay, so this becomes, for the above for the just discussed situation, this becomes theta becomes 0. Okay, theta becomes 0, that is, and this is the current carrying, sorry, I have been repeating it as current carrying, it's not current carrying, this is the conducting wire and it is the direction of the magnetic induction B. Now in the same direction the normal of the rectangular coil lies, so that angle between these things, angle between this magnetic field line and the normal of the conducting coil, that is theta, that becomes 0 now, right? So this is at 0 at the time t is 0 in the initial moment, assume like that. Now what happens, the experiment is made in such a way that we could able to rotate about an axis which is perpendicular to the direction of the field, right? In that case we are starting to rotate like this, right? It is about to rotate for a momentary of time after t equal to 0, that is after t seconds, this position will turn up to this position. So that what would happen, then there will be angle created. This is always the direction of the magnetic field, while the book the rectangular coil will be tilted, so that there exists an angle theta. Okay, now you can write this theta becomes omega into t, that is theta is measured at a time t, at a time t. And what is omega? See, we are going to rotate it about an axis, it's a circular motion. So for that circular motion, right, this rectangular coil is going to rotate about an axis, it's a circular motion. For that circular motion, omega is angular velocity. Omega is angular velocity. Okay, now as it starts to rotate, rectangular coil starts to rotate, the magnetic field lines that crosses this rectangular coil, that the value of the B will changes continuously. This change in the magnetic field will create an induced current through this coil, so that this current is coming out. That you can measure if you connect a resistance between that. If you put a resistance, in the bottom there are two brushes, there are two circular rings, and a setup is made in such a way that we can create an closed loop with an high resistance. Across the resistance you can draw what is the potential difference, and if you connect an ammeter in series with the resistance, you can measure the current. If you in series you can measure the current. If you place a voltmeter, then you can measure the voltage that created the potential difference that created between this high resistance. Okay, so now there is a current would be created, and that current would be measured if you close the loop by connecting a resistance and connecting a voltmeter in parallel and the ammeter in series, so that you can able to measure the voltage. And current, voltage is nothing but the potential difference, and current that you can measure, which is the induced current. Fine. Now let's write the expression for the magnetic flux linked with. See, we have said this is rectangular coil, and assume that it has n turns and its length is A, breadth is B, so that area is equal to AB. Okay, and the magnetic induction is B. If this is the scenario, then the magnetic flux linked with n turns of the rectangular coil whose length and breadth is A and B, and whose area is product of AB, is, we can write pi, that is equal to NBA cos theta. Theta is this value, NBA cos theta. And we said theta is equal to omega t, so that we can replace this as NBA cos omega t. This you can write equation number 1. And where A is the area, which is the product of A and B, N is the number of turns in the coil, B is the magnetic field. Right. Now, from this, for a particular instant of time, we can write the induced instantaneous EMF, right? The instantaneous EMF induced that we can return, which is E, that is minus d phi by dt. Why here it is minus? Because this induced EMF will oppose the flow of the current. If there is a flow of the current, that will oppose the effect of the magnetic induction which creates the flow of the current. Okay, so that we can put minus, and we have the expression for pi, that you can write NBA cos omega t, where NBA are all constant, so that NBA minus d by dt of cos omega t, right? And differentiation of cos theta, which is equal to minus sin theta, right? D by dt of cos theta, which is equal to sin theta. At the same time, if you write d by dt of cos n theta, then you can write sin n theta into d of n theta, that becomes n. so that this becomes n sin n theta. In that way we can write here, this becomes, so cos theta equal to minus sin theta, right? Minus sin theta, so that what we would have, minus of minus NBA minus of sin omega t into omega, so that NBA omega sin omega t, this is nothing but E, right? And we can write E naught, this is nothing but E, right? Or we can write, we can take these all terms as constant, so that we can denote E naught sin omega t, so that E is equal to E naught sin omega t is the induced instantaneous EMF due to the coil which is placed in a uniform magnetic field and made it to rotate, right? So here we said omega is the angular velocity, and you can say that omega is angular velocity and nu is linear velocity. Sorry, omega is angular velocity, or you can nu is linear frequency. Okay, the connection between omega and nu is omega equal to 2 pi nu. Omega equal to 2 is said to be, right? This nu is said to be the frequency of the induced voltage. This nu is said to be the frequency of the induced voltage. Fine. Now let's consider some of the situations that we will apply for this equation. That is, let us write this equation for t equal to 0. If t equal to 0, then E becomes E naught sin 0, which is equal to 0. Then t equal to pi by 2, then E becomes E naught sin pi by 2, which is equal to E naught, because sin pi by 2 equal to 1. Then t equal to 3 pi by 2, E becomes E naught sin 3 pi by 2, then you can write pi. So sin pi, in that case this is also equal to 0, because sin pi equal to 0. Then t equal to 3 pi by 2, 270 degree, E naught sin 3 pi by 2, that becomes minus 1. Sin of 3 pi by 2 equal to minus 1, so that minus E naught. Then t equal to 2 pi, where it becomes sin of 2 pi. Sin of 2 pi and sin 0 are same, that becomes 0. Okay. Now if we draw a graph between what is this, t on x-axis, E on y-axis. So let's see, for 0, for pi by 2, for pi, for 3 pi by 2, for 2 pi. Okay, let's say this is E naught plus an equal height, and this is minus E naught minus. What is that? For 0, for t equal to 0, E equal to 0. So this is 0, right? This is 0, this point. And for pi by 2, E becomes E naught, right? So this comes here. Then for pi it becomes 0, so that this point and this point 0. And for 3 pi by 2 it becomes minus E naught. So 3 pi by 2 it is minus E naught. And for 2 pi it is 0 again. And now if we connect this, okay, if you connect this, it create a sine wave starting from 0, it keep on going if you increase the t, which implies that the induced EMF is not constant. The value is ever changing over time. Ever changing over time. So if the induced EMF or induced current looks like this, then it is called alternating voltage or alternating current. So the EMF generated in a coil rotating in a uniform magnetic field is nothing but it is an alternating EMF. That is, it is varying with respect to time. Okay, and expression for that is the EMF generated in a coil rotating in a uniform magnetic field is E equal to E naught sin omega t. What is the current? The corresponding current would be I naught, I equal to I naught sin omega t. This is the alternating voltage and this is the alternating current. Alternating voltage and alternating current. Fine. So there is a change in voltage. It is ever changing. So, but this is a cycle which is repeating, right? Now the period of oscillation is nothing but time taken to complete one cycle. That is period of oscillation. T is period of oscillation. That is time required to complete one cycle. That is period of oscillations of this particular EMF. And you can say the frequency, the linear frequency of this alternating voltage or alternating current, which is nothing but, right, which is nothing but you can write in terms of omega, that is 2 pi pi omega. You can say it is 2 pi pi omega, or you can say it is the reciprocal of t, inverse of t. This is frequency. This is frequency. Frequency of the alternating current or alternating voltage. Right? Now, here you can say that this is the peak value, the maximum value on either side, on positive and negative side, that is called peak value. Peak value of the alternating current, peak value of the alternating voltage. That is the maximum value in a cycle in both positive and negative direction. We also have another term, root mean square value, RMS value. That is E peak value will denote by EP, that is peak value. Another term usually used in this field is ERMS, root mean square value. Root mean square value. How to calculate that? That we will see now. Root mean square value of alternating voltage. Root mean square value of alternating voltage. Simply root mean square value is denoted by R dot M dot S in small letters. Okay, not in capital letters, small letters, root mean square. Okay. And RMS, sometimes with full stop, or if you used it with a letter, then it is used continuously without any full stop. Fine. What does it mean actually? See, if there is an alternating voltage or alternating current, right? Root mean square value is the effective value, which will be lesser than that of the peak value, right? It is the effective value that is lesser than that of the peak value of, lesser than that of the peak value, and it is an average value of ever changing current or ever changing voltage. Let me repeat, it is a value, it is an average value which is less than that of the peak value, and this is an average of ever changing current and voltage. There is an average, right? And not average, that is an effective value. If you take average, it becomes 0. It is an effective value of ever changing current and voltage. This effective value make that effect will be equal, right? It makes sense that it will see, if you apply an EMF to a particular bulb, right, whose, for example, let's say this effective value is E0, that is equal to some 6 volt, right? And we are having, this is for AC, and we are having a DC for which we have E is equal to 6 volt, right? And here the E0, here the E will be different. Here E will be different. Here E will be different. Now, you see, a DC has 6 volt peak value, while an AC has 6 volt RMS value. Not E0, the RMS value, right? That is effective EMF. What does it mean? That here the peak value will be EP, will be higher than that of ERMS for an alternating voltage or current. Now, if this effective value 6 volt for this alternating current is equal to the DC voltage 6 volt, which means if you apply this to a bulb, both will glow with equal brightness, which means this alternating current whose peak value is EP, which effectively function as like a 6 volt DC. So that is root mean square value. It is simply, in one words, it is an effective value of ever changing current and voltage. How to calculate that? In order to calculate that, see, if this is one cycle, you have to take the instantaneous value for each time, right? For t equal to t0, t equal to t1, t equal to t2, for all time you have to take the EMF value, the instantaneous EMF for all moment of this one complete cycle, right? Then take the square, take this value E for each moment, E for ETN, for E at t equal to 0, E at t equal to 1, E at t equal to 2, E at t equal to 3, and so on, and take that every EMF at every instant of time, then square of it, okay, then square of it, then if you square it, then you divide it by sum of TNs, right? Then take a square root, right? So this is the RMS value. What we have done is, we have considered the instantaneous EMF at all the points in a complete cycle. We have taken that and we have squared it and divided by total number of points that we have considered. This is nothing but mean, square of the mean, not direct mean, square of the mean. Then you take a square root, that is RMS value. Okay, how to obtain this? See, we have the expression for instantaneous value of RMS, that is E, which is equal to E0 sin omega t, that we already know. Now we need to take mean square. What is mean value? If you want to take mean value, what you have to take is, you have to integrate it over 0 to 2 pi for a complete cycle, that you can say t, period of oscillation. Both are same. From this point to this point, if you write it in theta, this becomes 2 pi, and if you write it in t, then this is t equal to 1 period t. This t, then E0, sine omega t. Right? Sorry, not mean square value. If you want mean square value, you have to take the square of the thing divided by, you have to integrate it for t into dt. Right? Fine. Now integral of 0 to t dt. It's t, not t actually. This every instantaneous time, that is dt, right? That is dt. Every instantaneous time is dt. You have to integrate this dt over the entire period. So if you integrate this, then you will get t. If you integrate the dt, you will get t. So you apply limit, you get capital T. So upper limit is t, lower limit is 0. So that 0 to t dt becomes t. So this becomes 1 over t, and e square becomes constant, so that e naught square comes out, integral of 0 to t sine square omega t into dt, sine square omega t into dt. Now you cannot directly integrate sine square, so that we have to convert. So integral of 0 to t sine square omega t into dt, that we can write. So let's write the trigonometric formula, various trigonometric formulas that connected with the sine square omega. One such thing is, if you can write the formula for cos 2 theta. If you write the formula for cos 2 theta, that becomes 1 minus 2 sine square theta. 1 minus 2 sine square theta, right? Cos 2 theta becomes 1 minus 2 sine square theta. That is cos 2 theta, which is 1 minus 2 sine square theta. So that if you rewrite this equation for sine square theta, you multiply all the term with either side with minus. So minus cos 2 theta is equal to minus 1 plus sine plus 2 sine square theta. So that 2 sine square theta, that becomes cos 1 minus cos 2 theta, and sine square theta, which is equal to 1 by 2 1 minus cos 2 theta. Okay, here we have sine square omega t, that we can replace with 1 by 2 1 minus cos 2 times omega t, right? Cos 2 times omega t. So this becomes 0 to t, and we can bring the 1 by 2 outside. 1 minus cos 2 omega t into dt. Okay, so that this you can write integral of 0 to t 1 into dt. Okay, minus integral of 0 to t caps t cos 2 omega t into dt. Here it becomes 1 by 2 t 0 to t minus integral of cos theta equal to sin theta, so that this becomes sin 2 omega t, and d omega t do 2 omega t, that becomes 2 omega. Okay, this is 0 to t, that's what we are having. Now if you bring, then it becomes 1 by 2, this side becomes t, and here minus, then this would come down on the integration. In the differentiation you can write in the right side, integration numerator in differentiation you can write in numerator, in the integration you have to put this 2 omega in the denominator, right? Fine. So that 1 by 2 t minus, what you have to apply? Minus sine 2 omega t by 2 omega. Alright. Now what is t? We said t is equal to 2 pi, right? And right. So now when t is a complete cycle, when t is measured at complete cycle, what would happen? Here t becomes 2 pi, right? T becomes 2 pi. Here sine 2 omega into 2 pi by 2 omega. In this case, this will cancel out. What is remaining would be 2 pi by 2, or you can again write this as t by 2. T by 2, here we are having for the integral of 0 to t sine square omega t into dt. So integral of 0 to t sine square omega t into dt, which is nothing but t by 2. So that mean square value, if you want to take mean square value, that is nothing but, so mean square value. So mean square value is nothing but, already we are having 1 by t. Already we are having 1 by t, then 1 by t and e naught square, and now we are having t by 2, this will cancel out each other. So what we are having is e naught square by 2 is remaining. Then if you want root mean square, value, then you have to take the square root for this, then this becomes e naught by root 2, So this is the root mean square value of the alternating voltage. So what we have done? We have considered instantaneous value of the RMS, that is equal to E naught sin omega t, and we have taken the mean square of this term, so that we have integrated over 0 to t and divide that with the integral of 0 to t for a small interval of time dt. For this we will get 1 by t as an answer for this, and here we have taken out e naught square as constant, and we have integral of 0 to t sin square omega t into dt. For that we have ended up with the t by 2. So that we are substituting this t by 2 here, we end up with mean square value as e naught square by 2, and if we want root mean square value, if you take the square root of that, then we are getting e naught by root 2. So this is the root mean square value of the alternating voltage. So with this, let me stop here and we will resume back in the next lecture. Until then, bye bye.